Welcome, Climate Viewers. This is Jim Lee from Climate Viewer News at climateviewer.com. Here to talk about Project Azure and sounding rockets and chemtrails from space. Most of you probably have never heard of chemtrails from space, but this is a thing. This is real chemtrails. You can see it. It's all out in the open. It wasn't out in the open when I first started covering this, but it sure is today. And it's even on spaceweather.com today. And I got some pretty amazing images, some background on this. We're going to talk about the bigger picture because Project Azure is one of many sounding rocket experiments that are going on simultaneously right now. Where the rockets are being fired from, why they do it, how this relates to HAARP and the Tromsø ionospheric heater, and finally, about magnetic poles that are magnetic tubes that connect Earth and the Sun together called flux transfer events. So buckle your seatbelts. We're going to jump right into it. So over on spaceweather.com, the latest news up here. And shout out to Bram Maskovich, one of my homeboys on Facebook, for pointing this out to me. Apparently Mike Morales just covered this as well, so good deal on him. If you guys haven't seen Above Ground World News, you should tune in every night. Mike's my brother from another mother. But here's the article. Let's see if we can blow this up a hair. Rockets dump chemicals into Northern Lights. Last night, April 5th, in Norway, researchers at the Andøya Space Center launched two sounding rockets into a minor geomagnetic storm. The results were out of this world. Aurora tour guide Kim Hartvigsen photographed glowing blobs and blue and purple caused by rockets dumping chemical powders into the storm. Oh my gosh. I tried to read from this tiny little thing. Let me blow it up real quick. Alright, here we go. Back over here. Residents for hundreds of miles were taken by surprise when these strange lights, which prompted calls to the police. The aliens are coming. Hysteria, says Chris Nation, who runs Aurora Addicts Guiding Service. Show their page in just a minute. When the night began, Nation, Hartvigsen, and their clients were treated to a display of auroras ignited by a stream of solar wind buffeting Earth's magnetic field. As the auroras started to ebb away, our friends at the Andøya launched their rockets into the fading lights, says Nation. The show began anew as the rockets released their payload into the upper atmosphere. An automated webcam operated by Chad Blakely at Lights Over Lapland in Abisko, Sweden, caught the first puffs of powder emerging from the rockets. It looked like an alien invasion of UFOs, said Blakely. And there's a photo of that. Boy, you're going to see a whole bunch more photos. Soon the glowing blobs evolved into more complicated structures, two giant squid dancing in the northern sky with an impressive aurora display as its backdrop. Our webcam has been taking pictures every 5 minutes for nearly 10 years. These images are by far the most exciting I've ever seen it record, and we're going to look at all of those. The name of the sounding rocket mission is Azure, short for Auroral Zone Upwelling Rocket Experiment. Its goal is to measure winds and currents in the ionosphere, an electrically charged layer of the Earth's atmosphere, where auroras appear. Specifically, the researchers are interested in discovering how auroral energy might percolate down to Earth to influence the lower atmosphere. The twin rockets deployed two chemical tracers, trimethyl aluminum and barium-strontium mixture. Now, this is something that I've been talking about to the chemtrail community for quite some time, because while everybody talks about chemtrails and they talk about aluminum and barium, nobody, and I mean nobody, talks about sounding rockets. So, I've been talking about this for better part of 8 years now. These mixtures create colorful clouds that allow researchers to visually track the flow of neutral and charged particles, respectively. According to NASA, which funded the mission, the chemicals pose no hazard to residents in the region. I'm going to ask Chris Fallon, director of HAARP, a little bit more about the actual payloads that they dumped and get more information on this in a later date. And there's a real-time video of the surprise rocket launch last night from NASA ASC, reports Ole Salomonsson of Tromsø, Norway. Tromsø is where the Tromsø ionospheric heater is, and they were actually heating these trails. I was shocked when I saw the night sky facing north. I was not aware of the launch. Based on the images you're about to see, I think that's probably some BS. So let's get into it. All right, so here's the blow up of the photo that they took, and you can see right here at the top, this is your barium and strontium mixture, and then down here at the bottom, the gray that you see, this is your trimethyl aluminum, okay? So that's what you're seeing right there. These are the sounding rocket launches. All right, let's go over here. So where did this all occur? At the Andoya Space Center. And this is basically a rocket range where they fire all these sounding rockets from. You can see them. Actually got some background video right there of sounding rocket launches from Andoya. All right, and what most people don't know is HAARP has one as well. It's called Poker Flat Research Range, where they launch rockets from Alaska. This one is in Norway, so is the Tromsø ionospheric heater. More on that at Climate Viewer 3D. So if you go over to Climate Viewer 3D and you turn on the, I've got the HAARP map on, and I've got the ionospheric heaters worldwide map on, as you can currently see. And you come up here and you type in Andoya Space Center, hit enter. It'll fly you down there and we can go take a look at it. So here's the Andoya rocket range where they actually did the launches from. And you can see their launch pads are over on this end, and they got, you know, observation equipment and all of that sort of stuff. But this is where they do their launches at the Andoya Space Center. All right, so we're going to zoom out just a hair, and then we're going to see that Tromsø is right here. So Andoya is right here, and the Tromsø ionospheric heater is right here. And I'm going to blow this up for a second so you guys can get a look at it. All right, and we'll let you take a real close look at it like this. So here's the actual heater. Let me zoom back out. Right here, and this is the ionospheric heater at Tromsø. And there's actually 4 HAARPs at this location. Or 3. There's one here, and one here, and you can see that in an infographic I created here. And it looks like this. So this is what the Tromsø ionospheric heater looks like. You know, there's 3 separate arrays, all connected by these pipes and wires. And basically, there's 3 HAARPs in one location. So, appreciate it, Super Dave in chat. Love you, mean it, brother. Thank you. So, this is the Tromsø ionospheric heater. And it more than likely was, you know, actually heating these rocket trails as it happened. How do I know that? Well, we're going to show you that in just a second. So let's take a better look at what happened over here on Aurora Addicts. They're the one that originally brought us the story. They have a post up on Facebook right here. Here's some extra photos of it. You know, where it was actually posted. Go give them a like, I guess. And they have a link over to the Instagram where these photos were taken. But there's 2 photos here. And, you know, the Lights Over Lapland website. Here's the actual, from the start, what happened. So this is actually the rocket launch as it's happening. I mean, they caught it all on webcam. And Sister Golden Hair, love you, mean it. Thank you so much. Check this crap out. These are freaking amazing shots, and there's no joke about it. And I don't know how long they'll last. I saved all of these to put in an article later on, but I want to go through them in chronological order from the beginning. So you have the launch. Then we have the alien attack, as they called it. And you can see this blue glow already up here. And then we have the second rocket going off. And as you can see, all of this stuff falls out as it's going. Pretty crazy stuff. I'm going to just go through these real quick, and you can see as it disperses in the upper atmosphere. So the idea behind this is pretty similar. If you go into the doctor and you're going to get a CAT scan, they will put a tracer into your body to see what is invisible. And basically upper atmospheric winds, all of this stuff. Ellie 1978, love you, mean it, thank you so much. They do this, they dump these chemtrails in space, as I like to call them, chemtrails from space, to make visible what is invisible. And these are electrically reactive chemicals, so they can hit them with microwaves, from ionospheric heaters to the AMISRs, to incoherent scatter radars, and that allows them to see, all of this, where these trails are dispersing. I mean, we're like 30, almost 30 minutes away from their initial launch, and you can still see the trails spreading out here along the bottom just barely. But boy, the light show did pick up the minute they fired that rocket pair off, and then it seems to die back down. But pretty impressive stuff. Let's go back through these real quick, because I mean, that's just something else to see right there. You never get shots like this. It's just very rare, All right, so let's hop out of there. And we've actually got a video that was linked up in that as well. And you can see this. Get that out of the way. On April 5th, following the Project Azure, sounding rockets, 2 rockets launched, blah, 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 blah. Let's watch the video, because this is something else to see. We got this on 1080p. Let's do this. Now, I could show the entire video, but let's go to the part where he speeds it up. Or I'll just go ahead and do this at 2 times speed so we're not bored to tears. But man, this is something else to see. And you can see the actual 4 different separate rocket casings drop out. And then you can see them deploy another chemical plume here. And then they're still falling. That's the white dots you see falling. And at the end of their little fall, they're going to drop the trimethyl aluminum. So this is the aluminum spewing out now at the bottom here. It's amazing that we actually got video of this as well. Of course, like the guy said, hey, I was surprised to see this. But not so much. There's the green plumes. That's your strontium. The blue over here is barium. And obviously this is a strontium-barium mixture, so now you're seeing both. There's a secondary strontium explosion. Put this video to a Radiohead song. Oh, man, I love Radiohead. The Bends. Best album ever. Oh, wow. And there you go. There's the 4 separate dots dropping again. Then you see them flash. That's another chemical release. And then finally down here at the end, they're going to drop their trimethyl aluminum. Amazing stuff. Absolutely amazing stuff. You never get to see video of this sort of stuff. All right, so these are, now we're going to watch it at 5 times 2. Boy, here we go. Boom, boom, boom. It's like fireworks from the chemtrails in the sky. Boom, boom, boom. Coming down, boom, boom. Impressive video. Copyright Ole Salmonson. Thank you for capturing this on video. You guys go give him a thumbs up. I will, because that's rare. All right, so what are these sounding rockets? Let's let's check this out. So over here on the NASA page, sounding rocket mission will trace auroral winds. Links are already in the details. Feel free to read all about it. Here's the sounding rockets themselves. Little background on these sorts of things. NASA has since, I started doing all this, put up an actual sounding rocket page. And they've got a lot of information on here where you can go through and see all of the different, things that they're willing to talk about now, which they weren't so willing to talk about before. But over here on their tracers, clouds, and trails section, you can actually see, the different types: trimethyl aluminum, lithium, and barium. This is trimethyl aluminum. That's that gray trail you saw down at the bottom. Lithium, which they did at Atrex. That's the one that happened off the coast of DC at the, oh my gosh, it's slipping my mind right now. The Wallops launching facility. Wallops Island, Virginia. It says it right there. Read the screen, Jimmy. Quit trying to think so much. Lithium is used because it's visible during the daytime. So they'll dump lithium during the daytime because it's the only one they can actually see during the day. But normally it's trimethyl aluminum, barium, strontium, even sulfur hexafluoride. In the past, they used cesium-137, the radioactive material. Lots of information on chemtrails from space. And here you go. Here's all of it together. There's your barium, strontium, and your trimethyl aluminum all same time, rolling out. And that's what we just saw in the video right there. So whenever people talk about, chemtrails, I always try to point them towards this because most people have never heard about this sort of thing. In fact, I'm going to show you this real quick. If you go to Climate Viewer News and you go to my geoengineering page, and then you scroll down just a hair, you're going to see that I have two subsections, HAARP and the sky heaters and chemtrails exposed. On the chemtrails page, which I will drop in chat because it's not in the details. Boom, there you go. What you can see right here is, this is Chris Fallon, the director of HAARP. And what happened was, I was in an argument with basically this Fox meteorologist, Paul Delgado, which you can see here. And Paul, and Chris went through a very lengthy discussion about chemtrails. And basically, Paul wasn't having it. Paul was like, why don't you tell all your followers that planes, this is all natural, and chemtrails are stupid? And I'm like, but dude, there's more to it than you know. And, yes, there's aluminum and barium coming out of planes, but there's also sounding rockets and all this stuff. And he didn't want to hear it. But there's nothing better than having the freaking director of HAARP correct him for me. With apologies to @Paul Fox, who is doing his best under the circumstances, here are some pictures of trimethyl aluminum trails from sounding rockets launched from Poker Flat Rocket Research Range north of the University of Alaska Fairbanks. In other words, legitimate chemtrail science. And as you can see, I like that because that just made my damn day. So yeah, it was pretty intense to have, basically the director of HAARP saying, no, Jim's actually correct. These are chemtrails and they are from space. Anyway, it just doesn't get any better than that. So where were we? We had gotten this far right here. So this is part of a big, I'm going to be interviewing Chris Fallon in the near future. We've, developed a rapport. He realizes I understand what the hell I'm talking about, and I want to give him his chance to, actually do some talking about HAARP, because, I see all sides of the coin. I try to play it down the middle, ride the fence, whatever you want to call it, but I'm trying to just give you the facts and not try to scare the hell out of people to make $1. And in order to do that, you got to build a rapport. And if you build a rapport with the scientists, then we can have a more open discussion. So that's why I, am able to direct message Chris Fallen, and I actually talked to him on the phone a couple times, and he actually, tipped me off to a couple things that were pretty epic, and they were in previous videos. So pretty awesome stuff. So what does Project Azure have to do with the bigger picture? Well, there's a bigger picture going on, and it's called the Grand Initiative. Science on the cusp. Sounding rockets head north. And as you can see here, there's the Andoya rocket range with a whole bunch of rockets coming out of it, and some rockets coming out of here, and some rockets going out of there. But most of these are coming out of Andoya, and then the rest are coming over here from, looks like Greenland, or maybe that's from Alaska, but it's way too damn close. But regardless, that's a bunch of rockets firing off. So I'm like, what's going on there? And they talk about it down here, about the cusp, or the hole in the ionosphere. This is a very interesting area. Most people don't understand. Scientists barely understand it. That's why they focus so much, energy, pardon my pun, on heating this area. So there's basically these two holes in the ionosphere. Our magnetic, force field that protects the planet from burning up from cosmic rays. And this is where the aurora happened as well, because basically charged particles from the sun come in, hit this, roll down here, and then hit the Earth. And that's why we have the aurora borealis and the aurora australis. So anyway, moving along, this is the Grand Initiative right here, challenge. And as you can see, 9 missions, 12 rockets. Here's Azure, Auroral Zone Upwelling Rocket Experiment. ICI-5, Investigation of Cusp Irregularities. Another one. G-Chaser, TRICE, Twin Rockets and Investigative Cusp Electrodynamics. CHI, Cusp Heating Investigation. That's going to be ionospheric heating, obviously. CAPER, what a great name. Cusp, Alvin, and Plasmo Electrodynamics Rocket. Alvin waves, shear Alvin waves. That's what's firing out of HARP and ionospheric heaters. JAXA, the C-REX, Cusp Region Experiment, and VISIONS, Visualizing Ion Outflows via Neutral Atom Sensing. These are 9 missions, 12 rockets in the Grand Challenge Initiative Cusp. So this is Project Azure. The pictures that we just watched are part of a much larger project, which is going to be going on, from now through 2020. So this is not going to be the first or last we hear from this. Hopefully I will be able to, find more photos, videos, and we'll all grab popcorn and watch them spray chemtrails in space. So they link you to www.grandchallenge.no, but that link is now broken. It just redirects you to the Andoya Rocket Range page. So I tracked this down, and I did a search on their page, and here's the actual link to that, the Grand Challenge Initiative. And what you can see, I'll drop that in chat. It's already in the details. You can see the video of the sounding rockets going up and all that. Who all is involved? Clemson University. OMG. Not my boys at Clemson University. I mean, I'm talking Clemson University, people. Go Tigers. I'm from South Carolina. I got family graduated from Clemson, But basically, most people don't know that Clemson University works at the HARP facility and works on all this stuff, in space. So I'm going to have to call my boys up at Clemson and talk to them about this whole Grand Cusp Initiative, see what we can figure out. But regardless, back to the story. So over here, we've got, the Grand Cusp Initiative homepage where they're talking about all this stuff, what they're planning on doing. And I saw a really interesting graphic on this page that I want to point out to everybody. I'm not going to read the whole page to you. Links are in the details. They'll be in an article later. But look at this photo right here. Now, as you can see, Here are all the rocket launches coming out of Andoya. Here are rocket launches coming out of what looks to appear to be Greenland. This is Iceland, though. All right, this is the Tromsø ionospheric heater, and you can see it heating right there. This is Svalbard Spear. I have this mapped as well. I don't have this one right here in Iceland. That makes me very upset. So somebody out there, give your boy... Well, actually, that might be a Super Darn. Let's check. So, as we can see from my map here, this is the Tromsø array heater. Here is the Spear, or the South Polar... I forget what it stands for. Here's Spear's website. Let's see if it's still live. Just give it a little second, because these university websites are very slow, especially when they're coming from overseas. We'll come back here while that loads up. I got images of that. You can see right here. That's not right. This website cannot be reached. How rude. So let's do this. We'll just go to web.archive.org/web/star/ and hit enter, and we'll just bring up the Wayback Machine, because I back up everything I go see, and we'll just go to that thing real quick, and we'll pull it up much faster. Space Plasma Exploration by Active Radar. That's what SPEAR stands for. Appreciate you, Bamboo Soldier. You my ninja. So this is the SPEAR radar that's in there, that they're showing in this little infographic. We're going to make this other one. Just stop loading. Jesus, that's all we needed, man. Serious. What the heck? Not F1. Not F1. Escape. There we go. So that's the SPEAR radar in the image that we're seeing there. So SPEAR is here. Tromsø, Norway is down here. And let's see if that's a Super Darn, because I'll bet you that's what it is. Let's zoom out of here, because I don't have anything in Iceland. I mean, it could be this one right here, the Sandstrom, but, I mean, that still doesn't look right. Anyway, so as you can see in their picture, they're launching the, we'll jump too far. They're launching the sounding rockets. They're heating them with these radars, ionospheric heaters, and or their SPEAR. And I still want to figure out what this one is. Let's come over here to climateviewer.com. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to pollution and privacy. And you can see this is the HAARP and ionospheric heaters worldwide. This is the high frequency active auroral research program. And I'm going to scroll down here and I'm going to find Super Darn real quick. Could be an ionosonde. Let's turn on digisondes as well. Nope, not a digisonde. How far down is my Super Darns, really? There they are. There it is. It is a Super Darn. I was right. So there we go. This is the Super Darn at, I can't pronounce that. You guys give it a try. Pig V by R. I don't know. Anyway, that's one of them, and the other one is right here. Let's close that out. And Stokesary. So Super Darn stands for Super Dual Auroral Radar Network. All right, so that's what we're dealing with there. So the picture that they're showing is Tromsø, Norway's ionospheric heater, which we already showed earlier over here by the Andoya rocket range, SPEAR up here, and the two Super Darn instruments in Iceland. Boom. Glad we figured that out. Probably should have did that before I started the video, but regardless, mystery solved. Problem solved. The problem is solved. Sorry, I have daughters. We solved the problem. Everything is awesome. Problem solved. Anyway, so this grand initiative is going on. It's going to be going on for quite some time. And they're very focused on this cusp region here. So they're going to continue to fire these sounding rockets and dump chemtrails in space in the upper atmosphere to trace the invisible magnetic field lines, which we can't see unless they do this. And of course, they're going to tell you that all this is perfectly safe. You know what goes up doesn't actually come down. Not actually going to be anything to worry about here. And then they mention a couple of the different things right here. So what does this have to do? What's so important about this area? Well, have you ever heard of flux transfer events? Strange portals connect Earth to Sun. Now, most people I know have never heard of this. I mean, I talked to some of the people in the electric universe, world, and even they're like, huh? I've never heard of a flux transfer event. And that's because it's not talked about very often and very little understanding about it. But basically, this is my go-to article for explaining it to people. Like giant cosmic chutes between the Earth and the Sun, magnetic portals open up every 8 minutes or so and connect our planet with its host star. Once the portals open, loads of high energy particles. Why do they have these spacing problems? This is science or space.com. I mean, get your shit together. Loads of high energy particles can travel the 93 million miles through the conduit during a brief opening, space scientists say. Called a flux transfer event, or FTE, such cosmic connections not only exist, but are possibly twice as common as anyone ever imagined, according to space scientists who attended the 2008 Plasma Workshop in Huntsville, Alabama last week. This is in 2008. 10 years ago, I was pretty sure they didn't exist, but now the evidence is incontrovertible. And what are they talking about there? Well, flux capacitor. 1.21 gigawatts. Yeah, the flux capacitor. No, this is a flux transfer event. So, what are we talking about here? All right, so this is what they would actually look like. Magnetic rope observed for first time between Saturn and Sun. So it kind of looks like spaghetti. Okay, I agree to your stupid cookies. Basically, these things come out. These are magnetic spaghetti that basically connect our planet back to the sun. So the energy that flows in from the sun obviously returns somehow to the sun. And what it's doing is, in this cusp region, in the picture here, at the poles, the energy literally is shooting out of the top, winding up like spaghetti along where the windshield of the planet is, and then headed all the way back to the sun in a big freaking circle. Just amazing stuff that most people have never heard of. So this is probably why they're so interested in it, this cusp region, and doing so many experiments on it. Here's an actual 3D animation of what a flux transfer event looks like. Pretty fascinating stuff. Pretty freaking fascinating stuff. So, not very well understood. It's new science. Certainly isn't in any of the climate models. I love this title to you flux capacitor people out there. How much flux does a flux transfer event transfer? Certainly way more than 1.21 gigawatts. And of course, what do they mention? The super dual auroral radar network right there in it. So this is what's going on. This is what chemtrails from space, sounding rockets, HAARP, the Tromso ionospheric heater, Super Darn, all of these work in tandem. They dump barium and aluminum and these chemicals in the upper atmosphere so that they can heat them, so that they can study the upper atmospheric winds, so they can study the ionosphere. And, this is, going back quite a way. The guy said 10 years ago I would have never believed this. This is May 1988. What are flux transfer events? Science Direct. So people are still trying to figure this out to this day. We argue that surges in the reconnection rate of the magnetopause, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I'm not going to science you guys to death. Either you're going to read it or not, but links are in the details. But this has been cited 169 times, so this is obviously one of the more important articles that were published on the topic. What do we have here? Oh, wait, that's my chemtrails from space, sounding rockets, satellite chemical releases, and ionospheric heaters. This is on my YouTube page. If you want to learn more about the entire history of chemtrails from space, sounding rockets, this sort of thing, this is your one-stop shop. Make sure you come over here. Check out climateviewer.com/HAARP. You can read all about that. Oh, I was mentioning the Poker Flat research range, and I never showed it, so let's go over here. The HAARP facility is right here. So this is what HAARP looks like for those who've never seen it. Most people have. The HAARP facility is in Gakona, Alaska. This is actually called the HAARP Ionospheric Research Instrument. Most people think that this is HAARP. Actually, all of this is HAARP. The actual antenna array is called the Ionospheric Research Instrument, or IRI. But you can read all about that. 3.6 million watts with a 5 gigawatt effective radiated power at a frequency of 2.8 to 10 megahertz. Did my homework. You can go see their Facebook page now. They're on Twitter. Honestly, before, when the U.S. Navy and the U.S. Air Force Naval Research Lab and the U.S. Air Force was running the facility, we couldn't get very much information on them. And I've got a link to their old website right here on archive.org. Back when, this is the HAARP page that, I grew up with when it was still run by the military. And, they didn't really tell anybody when it was being turned on or what they were doing with it. But since Chris Fallon and the University of Alaska Fairbanks has, basically taken control of the facility, bought it, whatever, from the military, Chris Fallon and the guys up there have been very open about what they're doing. They announce when they're turning it on Twitter. So it's kind of different for me to see this level of transparency. I applaud the fact that they're being transparent about it. That's a good thing, at least. The more we know, the less we fear. But regardless, right up here is the Poker Flats research range where they launched their sounding rockets from. And let's get this out of the way. And you can see this is the rocket range in Alaska. This is part of my HAARP map because the two are very related. And you can see up here they also have what's called the AMISR, or the Advanced Modulator Incoherent Scatter Radar, which is basically like a smaller version of HAARP. There's one here and there's one in Resolute Bay, and you can see it. I have it mapped out as well. It's over here. That's the other one at Resolute Bay. So there's two of these things, these AMISRs. But regardless, this is the Poker Flat research range where they do their sounding rocket launches from. And these are, this is the Alaska version of the Andoya rocket range. And they have several rocket launch pads. They've got a bunch of, golf ball radar setups. They've got a liquid mercury laser LiDAR setup there. All of this is to probe the ionosphere and see exactly what they're doing. And I got a great graphic on the high pass facility, which is right here. That pretty much sums it all up. And you can see it right here. So, high pass observatory rocket fires up in the sky. I know this is grainy as hell, but this is the only image of it that is available on the internet. Bistatic radar, phased array radar. Phased array radar is the ionospheric heater. This is the charged area where they cook the sky. This is the sounding rocket flying through that region where it dumps its chemicals. That's the LiDAR laser. It's firing into it. Over here is a VHF radar firing into it. Satellites firing through it. Biostatic radar firing through it. All this is about not only just studying the ionosphere, but being able to turn it into a weapon system. So if we ever get into World War III and the Russians or Chinese are attacking us, not only do we have the technology, but Russia and China have the technology to try to control parts of the ionosphere to shut out, Born to Eat Toast. I love toast. Thank you, man. To shut out the enemy's ability to communicate with their satellites, with their GPS, and that's what the purpose of all of this is. That's why sounding rockets and ionospheric heaters work hand in hand. So that's the big picture. Chemtrails from space. I've covered this in my 10 technologies to control the weather today. And number 1, ionospheric heaters. Number 2, sounding rockets, chemical release, nacreous and noctilucent cloud formation. And you can see my sounding rocket going up here right through the ionospheric heater beam and the artificial ionospheric mirror or lens they create up at the top, and laser beams firing into that and satellites dumping them like the CRES. Read all about it on climateviewer.com, and you can do that in my section on sounding rockets. Where were we at? Right here, the Sounding Rocket Archive on climateviewer.com. This is where I, write my articles about this topic, and you can see several different articles on geoengineering with diamond dust and noctilucent cloud formation. SpaceX blows hole in the ionosphere. Trump's Space Force and owning the weather in 2025. Fire the HAARP. Artificial gravity waves, barium clouds, and chemical trails from space. A lot of information on the whole chemtrail from space phenomena. U.S. Air Force plans to plasma bomb the sky for HAARP. And similarly, you can come over to weathermodificationhistory.com and you can get into this bad boy. Come over here to the timeline and click on space weather, and you can see a whole bunch of different information on that, like the charged aerosol release experiment, another chemtrail from space, artificial noctilucent cloud formation. We're dumping chemicals in space, another barium cloud right there with trimethyl aluminum, and all of that. And there's a tag for that over here on the sidebar, where you can get into all of that. Where are we? I thought I had a sounding rocket one. Where is it? Why do I not have a sounding rocket one? Oh, chemtrails from space. So if you click on chemtrails from space on weathermodificationhistory.com, you can read all about that as well. So there you go. That's that. And you can see that the history of this goes way back. It was mentioned in Owning the Weather in 2025, triggering high-frequency breakdown of the atmosphere by barium release, 1993, combined release and radiation effects satellite, CRES, and the Arecibo ionospheric heater. You can see the Arecibo ionospheric heater on climateviewer.com as well. Let me reset my zoom here. My goodness. And come over here, and I'm going to do this real quick. I'm going to scroll down here, and I'm going to turn on the 3D terrain because it looks much cooler. And we'll go down here and check out the Arecibo array. And you can see it here. There's the Arecibo ionospheric heater. Most of you have probably seen this in the movies, but that's the one in Puerto Rico. So check that thing out. How HAARP was created, international treaties and active experiments in space, beam experiment aboard a rocket, Project Waterhole interrupting Aurora with water vapor, NASA Project Cameo barium cloud over Alaska, 1978, Sounding Rocket Explosive Shells, Pound Ionosphere, Project Secede, 1970 through 75. The original HARP cannon, Project High Altitude Research Program, HARP cannon, launches chemical payloads into space from a gun. Yes, and I have that mapped out as well. Artificial strontium and barium clouds in the upper atmosphere, 1964. And, plasma seeding and magnetospheric modification begins 1963 to present. And even before that, Project Firefly, chemical releases in space, 1960. So this has a very long history, and most people know nothing about it. So when you're talking to your friends about chemtrails, and you really want to blow their mind, start talking about sounding rockets and dropping trimethyl aluminum, barium, strontium, all these chemicals in space. It's something people know very little about, and people should know more about it, because you can't get much clearer than that. Artificial strontium and barium clouds in the upper atmosphere, 1966. So like I said, I didn't have very good color photos on weather modification history because we've had so many of these, but oh my goodness, we got some great footage now. So there you go, guys. Pretty epic photos. You're not going to see, probably anywhere else. Shout out to Mike for covering it before me. Prick. Beat me to the shot. But I wanted to give a whole lot of, back story on this so you guys see the big picture. And it's pretty epic stuff. Amazing, information on chemtrails from space. I hope this video has been informative to you. Everything on my websites, it's free of charge, open source. You're allowed to post it on your website, share it, like it, love it. Please leave a comment, like this video if you didn't catch this live. If you can, please support my work on patreon.com/climateviewer or give a one-time donation on PayPal or GoFundMe. That's greatly appreciated. But the point of all of this is to really get the information out there and cut through the fear porn and just overload you with facts. There are way too many facts to ever put in one hour video, and I don't do 5-minute, 20-minute videos. I probably should do more of those, but I like to give the background, the full story on these videos. So shout out to all the people in the live chat who stuck it out for the hour. You guys, really, go the extra mile, and I greatly appreciate it. And never forget that a small group of individuals can change the planet. In fact, they're the only thing that ever have. So thank you guys for tuning in. Project Azure, sounding rockets, and chemtrails from space. Wow. Fancy shots today of that. Now you know, and knowing is half the battle. With information comes power, and with power comes great responsibility. So all I ask is that you use this information to attack ideas, not people. Love you, mean it.
Kids are impressionable. That's why here at this station, we watch the programs and commercials your child watches carefully. He may see bad guys, but not in the role of heroes. And he'll learn that crime doesn't pay. Because your child's welfare is our concern, too. That's part of our code.
Better than anything you can get without a prescription. Anything. It's the best.